everyone. How are you doing? Welcome back to another video from the Worldofenglishexams.com, and this video is going to focus on a very important question type on the IELTS reading module, that is matching the list of headings. Let me tell you upfront that this is the question type that most of you will get confused, or maybe you will be expressing a lot of doubts regarding how to match the headings to the paragraphs. Guys, let me tell you that this question type is very important, be it for academic module or for the general training reading. Matching the list of headings is one of the most commonly seen question types in the test. So it is compulsory for all of you to understand what is matching and how to match the titles or the headings to the relevant paragraphs. So we shall learn about a strategy which can help you to get these questions right. So what are we waiting for? Let's get into some serious discussion about the various question types, and then we'll go on to some important instructions, and I'll also help you to solve a passage sentence by sentence, title by title. Let's understand that. Okay, so as you can see, the question types on the IELTS reading module are basically categorized into 4 groups. The first one is matching, among which we are going to see one important question type today, that is matching the list of headings. Then there are fill in the blanks type of questions, under which you get summary completion, diagram completion, table and flowchart completion, note completion, sentence completion, all the various types of fill in the blanks questions. And then there is a subset of true or false or not given, and yes or no or not given. Then we have multiple choice type of questions. So all these are the various types in which the questions will be given in the IELTS reading module. Not to say that all the question types will be given, but it is important as a test taker for you to understand and get the answers right for all these type of questions. And what can be a better source for getting information other than worldofenglishexams.com? So do check out our videos on all the various question types on the IELTS reading module, and also we are going to start many more videos on the IELTS writing module very soon. So stay tuned to our channel worldofenglishexams.com and ring the bell icon and subscribe to our channel and never miss the latest update from our channel. So let's continue with understanding what to do exactly for matching the list of headings. Are you ready, guys? So without any further delay, let's get into some understanding. Okay, so as you can see, this shows how to match the titles. So if you are getting my process right, if you are getting the strategy right, then let me tell you, nobody can take your marks away from you, and you need to take the advantage of the point that there is no negative marking in any module of the IELTS test, be it listening, reading, writing, speaking, whatever. You are not marked negative. So if at all you cannot get the right answer, no problem. Just take a wild guess, and you may never know, maybe that's the right one. So do take chances and do guess if you are unable to get the answers right. And what's the first step in order to match the titles? As always, you need to read all the titles. Let me stress on this point, guys. Some of the students, they make a mistake that they read one title and then they start reading all the passages, and ultimately, eventually it leads to wasting time. We don't want to do that. We are supposed to be reading all the titles before looking at the passage. Simple. Understand what the title means, and then you'll get a clear picture as to, when you read the passage, immediately you'll get a relevance as to which title will be the most appropriate one. Then once you have read the titles clearly, the next step is going to be to mark the keywords, and of course to think of any possible synonyms. Synonyms are parallel expressions, which means other words which mean the same, just like buy and purchase. So both of them are synonyms. So we should not expect to find the exact words that are given in the title. Often you find the synonymous meaning or the paraphrased form of the expression. Next step in the process is to read the passage. Guys, focus on this point. And you need to check if the answer can be obtained from the first 3 lines or the last 2 lines. I repeat, we need to read the first 3 lines and last 2 lines to check if we can match the appropriate title. And at this point of time, let me also add that you need to see for sure whether the meaning of the title and the meaning of the passage is related to one another or not. And one title matches to one passage. So you don't have repetition of the titles. Okay. So if one passage, we match it with one title and that title cannot be used for any other passage. Then the last one, of course, is to match the appropriate title. So first we read the question, all the titles, and then we mark the keywords. What are the keywords? For that you may refer to the other videos that are updated on the channel, that is worldofenglishexams.com. And then if you want, I'll relink in the description box regarding that, and you may go to that and you may view it. The next step is, of course, we are going to read the first 3 lines and the last 2 lines and check if the title is matching. If not, we don't have any other choice but to read the entire passage in certain conditions. Then the last step is to match the appropriate title. So have you understood this? I hope you have. Then if you did not, please pause the video here and give it appropriate time to read it. Now let me highlight some of the very important points that you should have in your mind before solving these questions. Now what are the important points to note? The first important point is stick to what is given in the passage. Do get the main idea, the central idea, and you should not be deviating. You should not be thinking outside the box. Just see what the passage actually means. Then the second point to note is look for the meaning and not just the keywords. Obviously, there are students who just try to match the keywords. What happens is that sometimes the same keyword may be repeated in 2 or 3 passages. Then what happens? Ultimately, we'll descend into confusion. We don't want that to happen. We are going to look for the wholesome, total, complete meaning of the passage and not just the keywords. Then the third point is very critical. Do not spend more than 1 to 2 minutes on any given question, because we have a strict time limitation of 60 minutes for the reading test, right? So we don't want to take a chance. We don't want to risk our score. So ideally, you need to spend 1 minute for one question. Now what happens if you do not get the appropriate title in the time? Just circle the question and just move on, guys. Maybe we can come back to it later. Then, as the fourth point was already stated, one title is suitable for a single passage. The same title cannot be repeated. Then, the last point is, obviously, I told you, you need to read the first 3 lines and the last 2 lines. However, sometimes the answer lies in the middle of the passage or the paragraph. Hence, we have to read very carefully to get the answer. So, have you understood the technique, guys? Read, understand, mark the keywords, read the first 3 lines and the last 2 lines and try to match it. Most probably you might get the right title, else you have no other choice but to read the passage and then match the appropriate title. As simple as that. Now, theoretically it's very good, ma'am. What about practice? Yes, that is a crucial step, right? So let's do it. Let's get into some serious practicing, shall we? Yes. So let's practice. Okay. So as you can clearly see on the screen, towards the left are the suitable titles which are given using Roman numerals. Are you able to see this, guys? That there are Roman numerals indicated for the titles. Now, just beside that, towards your right side, you can see the passages which are alphabetically arranged. As you can see, A and B, there are two passages here, and since I presume that it's the first time that you're getting to do such a question type, I'm going to help you in finalizing the title for all the passages here. So I have lined up nearly 7 passages here for which the same headings would be suitable. But we need to see which title is appropriate for which paragraph. Come on, what's the first step? To read and understand all the titles. Come on, the left side. A decrease in the zebra population. So what's the first title? A decrease in the zebra population. That means the passage should convey the information that the numbers of zebras are declining. They're going down. Okay, so if you see that contextual relativity, then you're going to mark the title as 1. Then the second title, an obstruction on the traditional route. Obstruction means there's some sort of a break, some hindrance, something is stopping. Then an obstruction on the traditional route. Traditional route is nothing but the usual, original route, the conventional route. So something is stopping the conventional route. Then the third title, an unknown species. That means the information about a completely new species must be present in the passage, and then we give this title. Then some confusing information. Oh, there is no clarity and there are some open-ended questions in the passage. When you see that there is no clarity, or maybe there is some doubt that is being expressed in the passage, then we give the title as number 4. Then let's read number 5. Staying permanently in the Maggadikadi, which means that whatever the animal is, it's not coming back to the place of origin. It's staying permanently in what's known as the Maggadikadi, in that place. Then the sixth title, nearly a record, which means it's not the number 1, but it is almost a record, an achievement kind of thing in the zebra world. Now the seventh title, 3 different ways of living. Guys, here please mark the word 3, because unless and until we find 3 different behavioral patterns, we are not supposed to be giving this title. So 3 is very important. Now the 8th title, the original aim of the work. So what did the researcher aim at finding in the first instance? So what was the motive behind this study? Then the 9th title, how was the information passed on? Which means from one generation to another generation, the information has to be passed on. And how is that happening? If that information is seen in the passage, then we are going to give the title as number 9. Then the last title, why it is important to study zebras. So here we are looking at various reasons why we have to study zebras. So why is it so very important to study about the zebras? So this is how we need to understand the question. Let me tell you, reading the titles and understanding them is an essential part, because once we start reading the passages, we can't come back to the titles. Okay, so once we read the passage, immediately we must get an idea as to what might be the suitable, appropriate title for the paragraph. Okay, now with that introduction, let's continue to reading the passages. Now let me read the passage A. For any animal to travel over 270 kilometers in Botswana, partly across the sand and low bush terrain of the Kalahari Desert, is a remarkable achievement. So the first sentence is telling that if any animal is traveling a distance of 270 kilometers, that too in the terrains of the Kalahari Desert, then that's touted to be a remarkable achievement. Which achievement is something similar to a record. Now, but to do so in 11 days without any obvious motivation, as the zebra population does, is quite extraordinary. Again, it's something that is related to achievement. However, did we get the meaning of nearly a record? So far we did not get it, and as we have seen, we finished reading the first two lines, but still we did not get it. Now let's proceed forward, and for your easy understanding, I have highlighted the key points in red. Now let's continue reading that. Making it second only to the Great Trek, which means it's the second most important and greatest trek. That is the meaning of nearly a record. That means it's not a sole record, but it is the second time that the record has been set. And this confirms that the title for passage A is 6, because no other title is talking about any sort of achievement or a record or something like that other than the 6th title. So immediately what do? Just beside A, I jot down the number 6. And immediately I'll just strike it off. I'll just strike off the title 6 so that I don't get confused. Now let's proceed to reading the passage B. Hattie Bertlam, a researcher, discovered this migration while she was tracking zebra groups officially known as harems by the Okavango River for her PhD. So there is a researcher named Hattie Bertlam, and what did she do? She was pursuing her PhD, and as a part of her study, she has discovered this migration. Okay, so far we haven't got the right title. Let's continue reading. Each harem, as we have seen in the earlier sentence, is a group of zebras. Each harem consists of a stallion and his 7 or 8 mares with juvenile foals. Okay, this sentence also is not giving any information. Let's proceed. There is no loyalty between zebras beyond the social group, though harems often gather together in so-called herds. Okay, it's talking about the zebra population, and you should not confuse with the first title, that is decrease in the zebra population, because nothing is mentioned about decrease. They're only talking about the population and what would the population constitute. Now let's read the last sentence. For her study, Hattie had planned to compare the small scale movement patterns of 11 such different zebra herds in the area. So that is the aim of her PhD study. What was her motivation? What did she think? She thought, she had planned to compare the movements of these herds. Now, which is the appropriate title? As you can see, number 8, that says the original aim, because it's just a plan. Hattie had planned to do that. So that is very well constituting with the original aim of the work. So I hope by now you must have got a clear picture of how to do it. Let's proceed forward and complete the rest of the passages. And just like this, I would highlight the key points in red. Fine. Now let's look at passage C. In December, when the annual rains had transformed the roads into rivers, which means due to heavy rains, the roads were transformed into rivers, that there was a heavy rain. Then Hattie was therefore more than a little surprised when she checked the data sent by radio callers. She fits the zebras she is tracking to find that. Okay, so there was some data that is sent to her, and what did she find? That 6 of the harems were 270 kilometers away on the edge of the Maggadkadi. Okay, so in the earlier paragraph we have found that Hattie had planned to compare the movements, the small scale movement patterns of 11 different herds, isn't it? So now what did the data send? What did she understand? What did she find? That she found that 6 of the harems, 6 of the 11 harems were 270 kilometers away on the edge of Maggadkadi, which is a huge mineral rich area. Okay, just because you have found the keyword as Maggadkadi, I don't want you to mark the title as the 5th one, because we did not get any inference for permanently they are staying. We did not get any relevance to that, did we? No. Okay, so then let's continue. Then when the last of the moisture from the rains had disappeared in May, of course, because it is summer, so most of the rains had disappeared. Then what happened? 5 of those harems came verily back to the Okavango. That means it now rules out that the title is 5 because they are not staying permanently. They returned back to the Okavango river. Now, what happened? This raised a question. Now, there is some sort of confusion. What is that? Why, despite a plentiful supply of food and water, were the zebras being drawn eastwards? Of course, Maggadkadi, as we have seen, is a mineral-rich area. Then what is making the harems to come back to the Okavango? Even more difficult to understand was what made the 6 of the groups travel so far while the other 5 remained. Yeah, so there is some sort of a confusion. Now, which title subsides with this? Some confusing information, because there are some confusing points that are not answered. They still are unanswered. So that's the reason the appropriate title is 4. So just beside C, please write 4. Then let's proceed to answering the next passage. Okay, so this is passage D. This discovery, which means the discovery about why 6 of the harems were staying back and why 5 of them are coming back and all that, this discovery created quite a buzz in the research community. I decided, which means the writer of the passage decided to visit Hattie, maybe to understand about that, and then she explained that a century ago the large number of Botswana zebra and wildebeest herds and the resulting competition for grass made the migration essential. So the writer came to know that there was a lot of competition for grass, and that's the reason animals migrated. One of the migration track is a path, okay, a route. One of the migration tracks went from Okavango to Maggadkadi. Okay, so that is the way in which, that is the path along which the zebras were traveling. But in the late 1960s, giant fence is an obstruction. Giant fences were put up to stop foot and mouth and other diseases from spreading between wildlife and domestic cattle. Oh, that is the reason why the fences were put up, to stop the foot and mouth disease. So now because of this, what happened? Obviously, it stood to be an obstruction on the traditional route. What is the traditional route? Okavango to Maggadkadi. So did you understand that? So the appropriate title would be 2. So once we have finalized on the title, guys, we need not read the entire paragraph until and unless you are not sure of it. But this one is a clear-cut indication about the route. Now let's continue reading the next passage. Okay, as the zebra can live up to 20 years, that's the lifespan of a zebra, the migration must have skipped at least one generation during the 40 or so years that the fences were up. So obviously, the animals were prevented to move across the fence. So that's the reason the migration must have at least skipped one generation, because they were unable to move. Okay, so now this gives us a clue that something about generations is being spoken. Okay, let's continue. This prompts another question. It has always been assumed that the young of social herbivores like zebras learn migratory behavior from their parents. Obviously, the young ones are going to learn whatever behavioral pattern it is from their parents, isn't it? So, how did the latest generation learn when and where to go? Obviously, the parents did not teach them because the fences stopped them from migrating. Not from their parents, who were prevented from migrating because of the fences. Did they follow another species such as elephants? We may never know. Again, there is an open-ended question as to how the information regarding migration was passed from the parents to the offsprings. So now let's see the title. Yes, it is 9. How was the information passed on? Which means, how did the young ones learn when to migrate and where to migrate? So did you understand the question? Now let's continue to read the next passage. Hattie's data points to a conclusion. Okay, all this was a part of her research study, and this is pointing out to a conclusion that there are several zebra populations adopting different behavior. So there is a classification of zebras depending on their behavioral pattern, and as you can see, the first one, and then I have highlighted another point, that is the second group and final group of zebras. So how many different groups are there? There are 3 groups of zebras depending on their behavior. Clearly it is an indication that the title is 3 different ways of living or 3 different behavioral patterns. There's no confusion here, right? Now let's proceed to the next passage, which I would like to give you to practice. Excited about that? So this is how you do it, guys. And once you have got the right answers, it's time for you to practice on your own. And I'm going to give you another passage. I'm going to give you the list of titles, and I'm going to set a time limitation, and let's see how you get the answers. And don't forget to write your score and the comments about this video in the comment section below. We would be excited to hear from you. Yes, so it's time for some practice. Okay, so this is the passage that I want to give you, and here on the right side you can see that there are 8 titles given, and here I have given 2 passages for you. And to get the titles right, to read the titles, I would like to give you 2 minutes just to read the titles, not to match it. Okay, so first read the titles, and for that your 2-minute time begins now. One minute up. Yes, guys, so that's the end of your 2 minutes. Now I hope you have analyzed the keywords and you've understood the meaning of all the titles. Having known that, now let me give you let's say 3 minutes to mark the titles for both the passages, and your time starts now. Yes, That's the end of 1 minute. One minute left. Yes, that's the end of your time, and I hope you marked the right answers. Let's proceed to doing the next passages. All right, so I have two more passages for you, and the same time limit continues. That is 3 minutes, let's say, and your time starts now. If you can carefully observe, the first three lines are definitely going to help you to get the right answers in most cases. I think you might have noticed that by now. One minute up. That's the end of the second minute as well. that is it. So that's the end of the 3 minutes time. And now let's get solving the last set of passages based on the same titles. Yes, so these are two more passages for you, and your 3 minutes time begins now. So you have approximately 1.5 minutes left. Continue doing it, guys. I hope you are having a great time solving. One minute left. That's the end of the time to solve the passages. Are you excited to know the answers for this? Are you excited to see whether the trick works or not? Okay, so yes, here I have revealed the answers, and this passage is an extract from Cambridge papers. So you have practiced authentic Cambridge papers now, and just match the answers and check if you have got the right titles. If you have any doubts regarding it, please do leave us a comment and we'll surely get back to you with the explanation. So then till I see you the next time with another great video, I'd like to sign off. And do like this video, give it a huge thumbs up if you have liked it, and do comment on how you felt about it and how it's helping you, and do share this video with your friends because sharing is caring. So happy preparation from the worldofenglishexams.com till I see you in the next video. Thank you.